Stocks on Wall Street and Friday's session mixed. The Nasdaq closes lower, pressured by AI stocks. Asian markets are on the back foot, mirroring moves on Wall Street. The GIFT Nifty is indicating a negative start for the Indian market. Crude prices edge up after a volatile session on Friday but remain below the $65 a barrel mark. Gold prices have continued to surge with the dollar softening and the uncertainty around the US government shutdown. Auto major Bajaj Auto posted an inline set of second quarter results with profits and revenue inching higher and margins coming in at a multi-quarter high, while Tata Group's retail arm Trent saw revenue growth slow and higher depreciation impact profit. And in major results today, Nifty heavyweight Bajaj Finance and ONGC will be releasing their results along with those from Vodafone Idea. And Lenskart will make its D Street debut today after the IPO was subscribed 28 times. The grey market premium for the company has, however, turned nearly zero ahead of its listing. Global markets met in Mumbai for CNBC TV18's Global Leadership Summit 2025 to reshape the India advantage. India's top economic voices, including SEBI chairperson, the chief economic advisor and veteran banker KV Kamath, all converged to discuss the opportunities and challenges defining the country's next growth frontier. Market heavyweights Ridham Desai, S. Narain, Neelkant Mishra and Ashish Chauhan discuss what's next for Indian equities, while Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis reiterates the state's growth commitment. All of this and more through the day on CNBC TV18. Good morning. You're watching Power Breakfast right here on CNBC TV18. It's the start of a brand new week. I'm Hormas Fatakia. Let's first take a look at how the Asian markets have started off this morning. And it's a positive start for the Asian indices on hopes that the US government shutdown is coming to an end, as the Senate will be putting the proposal to vote in just a few minutes from now. The Hang Seng trading with gains of around 0.5%. The recovery, though, is coming from Kospi in South Korea, an outperformer all through the year. Even today, the index trading with gains of around 2.5% in today's session. The Nikkei too trading with gains of close to 1%. So good going for the Asian indices. The Dow futures too trading with gains of anywhere between 80 to 100 points on hopes of this shutdown coming to an end. So it's a positive start that the Indian equities are suggesting. Currently, pull up the GIFT Nifty as well. That though has get that graphic out. Of course, there's some issue there, but as of now, the GIFT Nifty, the implied open was suggesting a downtick of anywhere between 15 to 20 points after the weekly loss that we reported last week. But to set you up for today's trade, our research team is right here with the trade setup, the stocks that are likely to be in the news, and of course, the setup on the FNO side of things as well. First up, Gaurav joins in to get all the market cues we need to watch out for. Gaurav, good morning. What are some of the important cues you're watching out for today?
Well, as when we look at Nifty, in fact, for the last 2 weeks, Nifty has continued its losing streak. And when we look at the performance for the last week, it was down almost by 0.89%. And before that, it was down almost by 0.28%. So definitely, we are seeing Nifty actually being in a bearish zone. Now, from here on, as the next week starts, when we look at the levels, first is that currently we are watching at around 25,500 level, and we will be on the upside. We will be looking at 25,650 as a resistance level. And when we look at support, 25,300 can actually act as some of the support as indicated by the call put writing. When we look at the weekend gone by, we have seen big company like Bajaj Autos actually coming up with the numbers. Along with that, we had companies like Trend, Nykaa. So let's see if such companies and the results, if they are able to push Nifty a bit up or the market, in fact, overall. When we look at the Indian industry, there is some relief coming up from the Chinese market as well, because Chinese Commerce Minister has actually suspended new export control which were announced on 9th of October. So definitely that can also act as one of the tailwinds for market. And along with that, when we look at the global markets, we have already seen Asian markets opening in green. But from the US market, we are seeing some kind of mixed cues, because Trump economic advisor, although it is likely that the shutdown will close soon, but Mr. Hassett, he said that the GDP could be negative in fourth quarter if the shutdown continues. So definitely that is something that we will be watching out for. And at the same time, Trump on his social media also said that a dividend of at least 2,000 rupees a person will be paid if tariffs continue. So there are some mixed cues which are coming up from the global markets like USA. But as we look at GIFT Nifty, we are seeing some kind of flattish beginning, at least for the day today.
A flat beginning indeed. Start off with a negative bias. Gaurav, thank you for that update. Over to Sudarshan now, who joins in with cues from the FNO space. Sudarshan, good morning. What's the FNO data indicating at the start of this week?
So on Friday, we saw a sharp recovery from day's low. But for today, if we go as per the data, it's indicating a start with minor cuts, but with a positive bias. If you take a look at the entire FNO data, so support for Nifty will remain around 25,400. So for now, the range has become from 25,400 to 25,000. On Friday, we have seen a sharp recovery, not only for Sensex and Nifty, but also majorly in the broader markets, and that helped both Nifty Bank and Mid-Cap Index close in the green, and it was a flat close for both Sensex and Nifty. For today, GIFT Nifty is indicating a start with minor cuts. As far as the flows are concerned, on your screen, you will see both FIs and DIs on the buy side, but you'll have to factor in Bharti Airtel's block deal data that we had seen on Friday, that of more than rupees 10,000 crore. As far as the derivative data is concerned, in the index futures, we continue to see FI be on the sell side. On Friday also, they have sold more than rupees 2,700 crore, and now the longs exposure has reduced to 13%. It has been in the range of 13 to 16% for the entire last 1 week. Again, on Friday, we have seen a huge increase on the short side by FIs. They have added almost 14,000 contracts. Now, coming to the options data. On the both call side and put side, we have seen premium falling. For the call side, 25,500 premium has fallen to 101 from 135. On the put side, for both 25,300 and 25,400, premium has seen a sharp fall. So now it's indicating you that for support for Nifty now will hold around 25,400 and resistance will remain around 25,500. So I've taken first support 25,380. If we fail to maintain that, next support comes around 25,200 and resistance 25,540. For Nifty Bank, support would be 57,600, resistance 58,100. I've taken three stocks. Gold is back over $4,000. So Muthoot Finance, keep an eye on that. Hitachi Energy had reported a good set of earnings. Even commentary is looking positive. So fresh longs on that. PFC might be under pressure after Q2 earnings.
Thank you for that update. Over to Vinny now, who would list out all the stocks that should be on your radar. You're reacting to results over the weekend as well. Vinny, good morning. What's on your list?
Good morning. Firstly, I'm going to start with Bajaj Auto, in line set of numbers that's coming from the company. But overall, look at the revenue growth, around 14% revenue growth. Profits have seen a growth of around 24% on a year-on-year basis. Margins also at 20.4% versus 20.2%. So largely, that 20% mark is what they've managed to hold. Margins at around this 20.4% is actually a multi-quarter high. Though it is, when you look at it, just a 20-30 basis point increment versus last year, but still good numbers in terms of volume growth as well. Export volumes, that is something that has boosted the growth, so in line numbers there. Trend, good numbers there as well, largely in line with what we could say. Profits of the company seeing a growth of 11%, margins seeing a growth of around 17% as well. EBITDA that came in with a growth of 26.5%, and the company is saying that the operating EBITDA is 14% is something that they're watching out for. PAT is lower, mainly due to a higher depreciation that we're keeping an eye out on than what the street was expecting. Transformer rectifiers, keep an eye out on that one. Weak quarter that came in from the company. Overall execution seems to be a concern there. Revenues were down by 0.2%. Profits of the company down by 25%. Margins also have seen a contraction. Purvankara, the net losses of the company have widened. 41.79 crores are the losses for Q2 versus just a 16 crore loss last year. Revenues, 29% growth there, but that's not important because we have other factors that we keep an eye out on there. Margins have seen a contraction. Seems like a bit of a weak number there. Kalyan Jewellers, good numbers, 37% growth in terms of revenue, margin 6.3% growth. Profits of the company have seen a growth of 99.5%. Nykaa, strong growth continues for the company at around 25%. We're seeing margins at 6.7% as well. And this mid-digit revenue growth is something that has continued for the last 12 quarters. Newland Labs, good numbers again coming in from the company. Good growth of 64%, margins of 30.4%. Sharp expansion there. And Ratnamani Metals, good top line growth, mainly volumes was leading the growth in terms of realization also. Seems to be a bit under pressure, but good top line growth at around 23%.
Vinny, thank you for that update. Now, Lenskart will be making its Dalal Street debut today after its IPO received a strong 28 times subscription during the 3-day bidding process. The grey market premium for the company, however, has turned almost negative ahead of its listing. Of course, we need to tell you that these GMP rates, the listing price may differ from these GMP rates as they are speculative in nature. Now, in total, the IPO attracted bids for over 281 crore shares as compared to the nearly 10 crore shares on offer, even as the company company is valuing itself at 230 times one-year forward earnings, with the IPO price being set at 402 rupees a share. At the upper end of the price band, the company would be having a market cap of close to 73,000 crore rupees. Now, speaking at the CNBC TV18 Global Leadership Summit, Lenskart co-founder and CEO Piyush Bansal said that they aim to give vision to 1 billion people, and they have not even reached halfway. Listen to what he had to say.
What we have achieved so far is a very small portion of what we intend to do. We want to give a vision to 1 billion people. We have given it to only about 25 million people so far. Right? So there is a lot more to do ahead. And I do think game is going to be about how do you leverage technology, and this is my firm belief, to solve some of the biggest obstacles in getting access and affordability to people, right? Because what are the two important things? One is how do you deliver great experience? And second is how do you deliver it most efficiently? And in both of these, technology has a very large role to play.
More highlights from the Global Leadership Summit. Jio Financial Services Chairman KV Kamath says that a clean balance sheet brings a sense of confidence. He adds that India should aspire for a growth rate of 10%. Listen.
And what does consolidation get you? It gets you scale and gets you bulk, and gets you, I would say, efficiency of operation. And all these are critically important today, and even more so when you're talking of, I would say, a technological revolution that you're all going through. So this is absolutely the correct move at this point in time. My biggest confidence is the fact that, what gives me the biggest confidence is the fact that the bank balance sheet is clean. If we were having this conversation in a situation where bank balance sheets are not clean, profitability is not at healthy levels, then we would have probably gone in a different direction. So banks are strong, and banks can today compete. I would say that we should actually aspire for a 10% growth rate, and then we will achieve 8%. So that's what we need to do. And also, and I'm very happy that the index is being reset of, say, industrial production or various indices, because we will then have a better picture of at what pace are we really growing. I would think that we're probably growing a little faster than what we all assume.
Take a short break. All the action from Wall Street on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Getting you the latest on the Donald Trump related developments. Dia is joining in for our special segment, Trump Watch.
The Trump administration's economic agenda is back in focus. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has hinted that Trump's proposed tariff dividend of at least $2,000 for Americans could come in the form of tax cuts through the signature economic policy bill passed earlier this year. But even as talk of a tax relief bill, the administration has directed states to immediately undo efforts to fully fund November food aid benefits, a decision that adds fresh uncertainty for the 42 million Americans who depend on this very program. Moving on to the foreign policy front, Trump is making headlines in Europe, granting Hungary an exemption from sanctions on Russian oil purchases. Now, the move marks a major win for Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who met Trump at the White House on Friday. Meanwhile, China has suspended its export ban on key metals like gallium, germanium and antimony, all crucial for modern technologies. The decision signals a tentative thaw in the trade war between Beijing and Washington. But diplomatic friction elsewhere is rising. Trump has announced that the U.S. will not attend this month's G20 summit in South Africa, accusing the host nation of mistreating white Afrikaners, a claim that's already drawing strong reactions globally. And lastly, Trump has reignited his long-standing feud with the media, this time after the BBC's Director General stepped down over the editing of a documentary about the US president. Trump took to social media, calling out what he described as corrupt journalists in response to this resignation. That's all for today. Now back to you.
Yeah, thank you for that update. Over to Wall Street, then it was a mixed session on Friday. The benchmark indices recovered from the lows of the day, but yet ended the week with losses. The Dow staged a recovery from the lows, as did the S&P 500. The Nasdaq also recovered from the lows, but ended with a 50-point downtick, and that was the worst week that the index had since the month of April. CNBC's Mackenzie Sigalos gets us a wrap of all the action on Wall Street.
U.S. markets were mixed across the major indexes in Friday trading as Wall Street faces more pressure over the AI trade and new economic data showing faltering consumer confidence. The Dow gained 75, the S&P 500 was up 8, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq lost 49. Concerns over the government shutdown this month pushing consumer sentiment to its lowest level in more than 3 years and just off its worst level ever. The University of Michigan's monthly survey of consumer confidence was released on Friday and showed that across the economy, people are increasingly dealing with tighter financial conditions. It also follows other recent data that shows disparity in income levels across the U.S. Among people with the largest stock holdings, sentiment actually improved 11%. And Cornell University reached an agreement Friday with the Trump administration to restore hundreds of millions in federal funding. Cornell is expected to pay a $30 million fine and invest $30 million in agriculture and farming programs as part of the agreement. The deal also ends government investigations at the Ivy League school over accusations of racial discrimination and anti-Semitism. In a statement, the university said the agreement affirms the Ivy League school's commitment to the principles of academic freedom and institutional autonomy.
Mackenzie Sigalos, thank you for that update. JP Morgan Asset Management's David Kelly says that the U.S. economy is not in a recession, but is seeing signs of a slowdown. Listen in.
We've got a sort of a tortoise-like economy, and we've got this, sparkles and champagne stock market. I mean, admittedly, it's down this week, but the stock market has been having a very good year. But, I think this government shutdown is affecting sentiment. It's affecting consumers. It's affecting businesses. And, people are scared of the dark. And we are in the dark on a lack of economic data. And so I think people are assuming somewhat the worst here. And the economy, the economy is not in recession right now, but it is slowing down. And the longer this shutdown goes on, the worse the damage.
Take a short break here on Power Breakfast. Cues from the commodities market on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. And as promised, Manisha Gupta joins in with all the updates from the commodities market. Manisha, good morning. What's on your radar today?
Well, I'm looking at gold and silver prices, Hormuz, because we've seen that gain since Friday evening, and Monday morning has seen some more buying come into the space. Well, the weak U.S. data is strengthening demand for safe haven yet again, and the markets are now pricing in a 72% probability of a U.S. December Fed rate cut. This is after the weak U.S. consumer sentiment and weak jobs data than expected is what really seems to be fueling these expectations. Also, when you look at the numbers, the Central Bank of China has increased its gold reserves for a 12th straight month for the month of October. So that tells you that the central bank buying has just about continued. The other thing that I want to watch is the crude oil prices. Well, they fell 2% in the previous week, but we've started this week on a very positive note. Couple of things on this. One is that with the kind of statements that we are seeing coming in from US and Hungary can use Russian crude oil. And then the Chinese crude imports for the month of October have continued to surge. So strong demand supporting.
Manisha, thank you for that update. Now, more highlights from the CNBC TV18 Global Leadership Summit. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, has said that the state will be leading the infrastructure scenario in the next 5 years. Listen in to what he had to say.
अभी जो आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर देख रहे हैं ये केवल ट्रेलर है, असली पिक्चर अभी बाकी है, क्योंकि मुंबई और एमएमआर रीजन ये एक ऐसा रीजन है कि जो भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को एक पावर हाउस के रूप में, एक ग्रोथ इंजन के रूप में ये डेवलप कर रहा है। और जो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का सपना है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर लेड ग्रोथ का, उसके साथ साथ जो एक प्रकार से अर्थव्यवस्था को विस्तारित करने का जो उनका सपना है उसको पूरा करने का काम हम लोग कर रहे हैं। भी 3 दिन पहले हमने हमारे रिकॉर्ड तोड़ने का तय किया, क्योंकि जो अटल सेतु है, दैट इज़ अ 22 किलोमीटर्स ब्रिज, सी ब्रिज, जो अभी देश का सबसे लंबा सी ब्रिज है। अभी हम लोगों ने भाईंदर से लेकर तो विरार तक एक 24 किलोमीटर सी ब्रिज को मान्यता दी है। आने वाले 5 वर्षों में देश में सबसे ज़्यादा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अगर कहीं तैयार हो रहा है तो महाराष्ट्र में और एमएमआर रीजन में हो रहा है।
Typhoon Fangwong has made landfall in the Philippines, where around 1 lakh people have been evacuated and 2 people have died. The eye of the storm hit Aurora province in Luzon, which is the country's most populous island. Now, the typhoon comes days after the storm Kalmaegi left nearly 200 people dead. Over 400 flights have been cancelled since Sunday. And that we call time on this edition of Power Breakfast from me and the team. Thank you so much for watching. Bazaar Morning Call on the other side to set you up for today's trade.